And big SIR showdown escalates in West Bengal. Now, West Bengal Chief Minister openly says that do not share your data with the poll survey team. Says BJP is conducting this survey to remove your name from the voter list. This comes in as the SIR exercise was conducted in Bihar, where the opposition also is claiming that names of several people were removed from the voter list using fraudulent methods. And now, after opposition like in Bihar, the West Bengal Chief Minister is also claiming the same. Let's listen into what West Bengal Chief Minister had to say.
সারা ভারতবর্ষ থেকে 500টা টিম নিয়ে এসছে বিজেপি, বাড়ি বাড়ি সার্ভে করছে কার কার নাম বাদ দেওয়া যায়। সবাই যার নিজের নিজের এলাকায় লক্ষ্য রাখবেন, কেউ সার্ভে করতে আসলে কখনো নিজের ডিটেলস বলবেন না। আপনার ডিটেলস নিয়ে গিয়ে আপনার নাম কেটে বাদ দিয়ে দেবে, এটা মাথায় রাখবেন। আধার কার্ডটা করে রাখুন, আধার কার্ডটা কম্পালসারি করে দেওয়া হয়েছে।
मुख्यमंत्री ममता बनर्जी एसआईआर को लेके आतंक फैलाने का कोशिश कर रहा है। जनता को बोल रहा है जो कोई कागज मत दिखाओ, आपका नाम वोटर लिस्ट से बाद हो जाएगा। मतलब उल्टा वोटर लिस्ट से नाम बातिल हो जाए उसका प्रयास कर रहा है। एक्चुअली वो एक जो डर से है, जो वोटर लिस्ट से जो भुआ वोटर का नाम कट जाएगा, तब ममता बनर्जी का नाम भी सत्ता से हट जाएगा। अरे जिसका सच्चा कागज है जिसका पास, वो क्यों नहीं दिखाएंगे? सब लोग दिखाएंगे, कोई ममता बनर्जी का बातों में नहीं आएंगे।
For more on this, my colleague Ritik Mondal is joining me live on the broadcast. Ritik, even before the SIR exercise in Bengal, the politics has started. Tell us more.
Well, on Thursday, West Bengal Chief Minister and Trinamool Congress Supremo Mamata Banerjee was addressing party student wing foundation rally in Kolkata, where she went on record alleging BJP, accusing them, and that's a big remark. What we do understand over the SIR slugfest has begun. Mamata Banerjee advised to the citizen of the Bengal not to share any documents. The people who are arriving to their doorstep for a survey. She went on record stating that BJP is conducting multiple surveys with 500 people at the doorsteps of people, and to delete names from the electoral roll. And she appealed to the citizen of Bengal not to share such documents with the people. So what we do understand now, it has triggered a massive war of words. BJP is, hitting at the Trinamool Congress government, and the BJP leader like Rahul Sinha went on record stating that Mamata Banerjee is under tremendous fear, which is why she is trying to create panic over the SIR, because they believe that the TMC is feeling that once SIR takes place in the state of West Bengal, that will affect its vote bank. The fake voters will be eliminated from the electoral roll. That will cause a lot for the Trinamool Congress party. So what we do understand, this amidst the situation when the preparations are underway by the poll body to initiate SIR in the state of West Bengal, there's a big remark is coming from the West Bengal Chief Minister advising citizens not to share documents with the survey team. So that we do believe that this slugfest to continue between BJP and TMC days to come.
Right. Thank you so much, Ritik, for joining us with that quick update. And moving on, the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, the ideological backbone of the Sangh Parivar, marks 100 years of its existence, a century that has shaped politics, society, education and culture in India. Now, on this landmark occasion, the RSS chief opened up on issues ranging from three-child policy to the organization's views on education reform, dharma and its relationship with the BJP, which is at the helm of the centre. Let's listen into what Mohan Bhagwat said.
डॉक्टर लोग मुझे बताते हैं कि 3 संतान होने से बहुत देर नहीं करना विवाह में, और 3 संतान होना, इससे माता पिता का, संतानों का, तीनों का स्वास्थ्य अच्छा रहता है। और जिस घर में 3 संतान है, उस घर की वो संतान आपस में ईगो मैनेजमेंट सीख लेती है, इसलिए आगे चल के उनके फैमिली लाइफ में कोई डिस्टर्बेंस नहीं होता। फिर अपने देश की पॉलिसी है पॉपुलेशन पॉलिसी, वो 2.1 रिकमेंड करती है। अब वो देश का एवरेज 2.1, ये तो ठीक है, लेकिन संतान होती है तो 0.1 संतान कभी होती नहीं। गणित में 2.1 का 2 होता है, लेकिन मनुष्य के जन्म में 2 के बाद 0.1 होता नहीं ना, 3 ही होता है, इसलिए 2.1 मीन्स 3। तो भारतवर्ष के प्रत्येक नागरिक ने यह देखना चाहिए कि अपने घर में 3 होने चाहिए। तो दोनों तरफ से जनसंख्या नियंत्रित रहे और जनसंख्या पर्याप्त रहे, तो 3 होने चाहिए, 3 से बहुत ज्यादा आगे बढ़ना नहीं चाहिए।
In a comprehensive question and answer session today, RSS Chief Mohan Bhagwat answered a lot of questions that are often asked of the RSS. He in fact spoke about the evolving relationship between the BJP and the RSS. He said that there is no quarrel, there could be a semblance of struggle. Now remember, this issue is important because the BJP is yet to find a precedent for the organization, and there is a large speculation that the RSS is also wanting to ensure that its voice is heard. In fact, today RSS Chief Mohan Bhagwat made it clear that the RSS does not tell the BJP what to do in terms of governance, and the BJP does not tell the RSS when it comes to character building or man making. In fact, Mohan Bhagwat also said that there is no there could be disagreement, there could be difference of opinion and views, but that there is no conflict between the RSS and the BJP. He also said that the RSS has always worked in coordination with the centre and of course with the state governments, and he said that there is a certain sense of trust and honesty with which all Swayamsevaks work when it comes to fulfilling their responsibilities. He also touched upon that very controversial topic of 75 years being the age limit, and he said that he talked about the episode which actually led to this controversy. He said that he was talking about Moropant Pingle, one of the old RSS workers in the past, and he said that he was only talking about how witty he was and that he did not urge anybody to retire, nor was he himself retiring. Remember that both Mohan Bhagwat and Prime Minister Narendra Modi are set to turn 75 next month, and this comment of Mohan Bhagwat last month had also given rise to certain speculations as to what he wants to say with regard to 75 years being the age limit for governance. But Mohan Bhagwat said it very clearly today that he does not want anybody to retire, nor is he himself retiring, and that he will continue to work as long as the Sangh asks him to keep working. He said that even if I'm 80 and if the Sangh wants me to run a Shakha, I will do that. There are 10 people in this room who can be Sarsang Chalaks, but I have been given these responsibilities because they have other responsibilities, and I will continue to do what the Sangh asks me to do. In fact, Mohan Bhagwat also spoke about the child policy, and he said it very clearly that given the changes in demography and also the kind of reduction in TFR amongst all communities in the country, it is important for every household, every family in this country to think about having at least 3 children, and he said that there needs to be a national policy of that sort. He also addressed the issues of reservation and infiltration both. On the issue of reservation, he said that the Sangh completely backs constitutionally backed reservations. He said that there have been several communities which have been deprived of the rights for the last many years, and it is only sensitive, it is only part of our responsibility to ensure that these communities get empowered. He in fact also went on to say that when it comes to infiltration, it is the job of the country, of the nation, to ensure that illegal immigrants or infiltrators don't get into the country. So it's a matter of national security, and it is completely aligned with the principle of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, because it is also the responsibility of the nation to protect people who live in the country and also protect its jobs. Mohan Bhagwat also went on to talk about Hindu Rashtra. In fact, Hindu is what he has defined not in the geographical sense, in the civilizational sense, and he said that for communities to come together and grow as a nation, it's important to have constant dialogue between them. But one thing that he kept talking about is caste violence and caste realities, and he said that caste system is going away, but caste pride remains, and that will remain the focus area of the Sangh in the next many years.
Now watch this, viewers. While Punjab reels under floods, villages submerged, families struggling to survive, Punjab minister trivializes it by discussing Sweden cruise trips instead of efforts to help flood-affected people. 3 state ministers on your screens. Punjab minister Laljit Bhullar caught on camera discussing his lavish cruise holidays in Sweden and Goa. Hear it for yourself.
क्रूज ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਾ 24 ਘੰਟੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀ ਕਰੂਜ਼ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਵੱਡੇ ਹੀ ਹੋਟਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀ ਸਾਰਾ ਹੁਣ ਗੋਆ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀ ਮੈਂ ਨਾ ਸਵੀਡਨ ਗਿਆ ਕਰੂਜ਼ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਾ 24 ਘੰਟੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀ ਕਰੂਜ਼ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਵੱਡੇ ਸਮੁੰਦਰੀ ਬੇੜੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀ ਹੋਟਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀ ਸਾਰਾ ਹੁਣ ਗੋਆ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀ
And now my colleague Gurpreet Chinna is joining me for more on this. Listen in.
Well, we have seen several questions are being raised over the visit of these state ministers who are visiting the flood hit areas, where we have seen they were discussing about Goa cruise and a luxurious trip in the Sweden also. We have seen this video has been in public domain, and we have seen the opposition party, they are also putting a question mark over the state government intention to conduct this rescue operation to help the Punjab people at this point of time, and specifically at this crucial time when the whole Punjab is grappling with this flood crisis. At this type of at this time, such type of statement is being given by the minister has already raised a multiple question of the state government. So we have to wait and watch how the state government is going to react on this discussion which was being carried out among these ministers about cruise, Sweden and Goa, and how the Punjab Chief Minister is going to react on this statement which is being given and the discussion which is being carried out by the state minister, because they are responsible for helping the Punjab people. Instead of helping them, they have been holding multiple discussion about the lavish trip in Sweden and Goa.
And now slipping into a very short break, but don't go anywhere. More news and updates lined up on the other side. And our viewers, the Gali showdown in Bihar has escalated while the BJP has posted a video of a man raising abusive slurs against Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The BJP has hit out at the Congress party and Tejashwi Yadav, saying why have the leaders not condemned it so far? And the BJP has gone after the Congress, saying that this is not the first time that Prime Minister has been abused, but this has been the mindset of the Congress party. However, the Congress Bihar leader has clarified that a minor raised these slogans and he was immediately punished for this act, and he has apologized for it. But the showdown escalates, and listen in to the political reactions coming in.
कांग्रेस की तथाकथित वोट अधिकार यात्रा में जिस तरह से कांग्रेस आरजेडी के मंच से देश के यशस्वी प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी की दिवंगत पूज्य माता जी को गाली दी गई है, वह घोर निंदनीय और भर्त्सना के योग्य है। यह अभद्रता की सारी सीमा लांघ चुके हैं। ये दो शहजादे का बिहार की धरती पर बिहार की संस्कृति का तिरस्कार भी इन लोगों ने किया है। राहुल गांधी और तेजस्वी यादव को अविलंब इस कुकृत्य के लिए अविलंब माफ़ी मांगनी चाहिए।
साथियों, कल मेरा बिठौली के अंदर प्रोग्राम था राहुल गांधी जी की वोट अधिकार यात्रा, तो वहाँ पे सुना है मैंने, अभी मेरे पास इंडिया न्यूज़ से और जी न्यूज़ से कॉल आया था कि इस तरीके से किसी ने प्रधानमंत्री जी के लिए अपशब्द भाषा का इस्तेमाल किया है। मैंने ये सुना है कि वो लड़का माइनर था और हमारे एक दो जो मंच पे आदमी थे उन्होंने एक दो थप्पड़ भी उसको मारा है, और उसको आप देखिएगा वीडियो में, उसको उससे माइक छीन भी रहे हैं। तो इस तरीके की घटना नहीं होनी चाहिए। मैं उसकी निंदा करता हूं और क्षमा मांगता हूं। हमारे देश के प्रधानमंत्री हैं वो।
भाजपा के जो स्लीपर सेल हैं वह महागठबंधन के यात्रा के दौरान भाजपा के ही स्लीपर सेल पूरे माहौल को खराब करने के लिए अपने प्रधानमंत्री के खिलाफ नारा लगा रहे हैं, और आने के बाद हमको भी गाली देते हैं और अपने नेता को भी गाली देते हैं और आरोप लगाते हैं कि हमारे कार्यक्रम में हुआ। यह बात असत्य है। अगर हमारे पार्टी के कोई नेता, तेजस्वी यादव जी, राहुल गांधी जी या हमारे सीनियर लीडरों ने इस तरह का अभद्र भाषा का इस्तेमाल हो तो उसका वीडियो फुटेज दिखाया जाए, जिससे हम लोग ऐसे लोगों को कार्रवाई करेंगे।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has embarked on a two-day official visit to Japan beginning 29 August. A key highlight of the visit will be Japan's announcement of a $68 billion investment plan in India to be spread over the next decade. More details, my colleague Shivarur is joining me. Listen in.
This is a hugely important visit by Prime Minister Modi to Japan. It's his 8th visit to Japan as Prime Minister, and that in itself signifies just how much importance he assigns to the country. It is very well known that the Prime Minister loves Japan very much. He has a special relationship with he's had special relationships with past Prime Ministers as well. This is going to be the first India-Japan summit under Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba, the Prime Minister of Japan currently, who has met Modi in the past as well, but this will be the first summit under this Japanese Prime Minister. But the relationship between the two countries goes way, way back. And in this 8th visit, the Prime Minister will be taking things forward between India and Japan amidst a great deal of economic and trade turbulence that we are well aware of. Japan is a big investor in India. Japan plays a huge role economically in terms of infrastructure, in terms of transport, rail, rapid transit, etc. here in India. So taking all of those things forward at the economic and investment level is going to be big. There are some crucial business meetings that the Prime Minister will be addressing. Beyond that, there's obviously a cultural aspect. There's the diaspora aspect, huge cultural ties between the two countries. There is a very special moment where the Prime Minister will be honored with the presentation of a Daruma doll, which has origins in Buddhism and Bodhisattva, which of course has origins here in India. So there is that aspect of it. There is also the strategic and defense aspect. Japan is seen as a country that has very advanced defense technology, and India post Operation Sindoor will be looking to align in terms of partnerships and co-production projects with Japan. That's going to be on the table as well. Beyond that, the Indo-Pacific is important. Remember the Quad, which is basically the US, India, Japan and Australia. There are questions over what the future of the Quad is really going to be with the current turbulence that both Japan and India are facing from the United States. The strategic relationship in terms of the two navies, in terms of joint patrolling, the South China Sea, the Indo-Pacific in general, all of those things will also be on the table in discussions between Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Ishiba. But very, very important relationship between the two countries that needs to be taken forward. Many people say that while the media actually sort of obsesses with what the Prime Minister's next destination is going to be, because from Japan he heads to China, and of course we'll be tracking that very, very closely as well from the ground in Tianjin in China for the SCO summit. There are strategic observers who say that the media is focusing too much on China, but it is this visit to Japan that actually has the bigger takeaways in terms of how India and Japan can actually gain from the current geopolitical churn across the world. So we'll be looking at that very, very closely. Prime Minister Modi in Japan.